Didn't work.
Uh,
It's showtime.
Yay! We are live.
Right. Yes. This is particularly apt to do this kind of stuff, the kind of weird showmanship that I like to do. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
You're in a very good mood today.
I don't know what it is. I woke up on the right side of the bed.
That's nice. That's nice. Suppose it's nearly the weekend, if that makes any difference at all at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. For me, at least, anyway. So it was one thing. I'm buzzing about because not working tomorrow, so I'm just like, oh, tomorrow's free. What am I going to do? I'm going to be really bored and watch loads of Disney movies. It's going to be great.
That sounds like a good weekend plan. I might do the same
Exactly. All right. Oh, so we have some people in already. We have 2 people watching already. Guys, welcome to the webinar. Please introduce yourselves. Write your name in the comment section so that we can say hello. Tell us where you're from. What school do you attend? So that we can get the conversation started.
Yes, we'd like some conversation, and today, especially when we're talking about comedy, we want all of your jokes today.
Yeah, okay. All the interaction.
But maybe we'll introduce ourselves quickly first. So my name is Emily. I work in Milan Merivilli. I am originally from the UK, from the middle of England.
Nice. And my name is Cathal. I am from Ireland, just north of Dublin. And I am also a teacher in Milano Merivilli, like Emily. And I've been there for over a year.
Hi to Morgana. Welcome. I remember you from a previous webinar. It's nice to see people coming back.
Yeah.
And Monica. Oh, you know each other. Monica and Morgana know each other. That's lovely.
Oh, and Federica Famoso from Merivilli.
Hi, Federica.
Nice, excellent. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Good morning. I don't know about Florence, guys, but here in Milan, it's a lovely day out today. It's very nice and bright outside. So maybe to my good mood also.
Yes. Hi to Valentina, also from Milan.
Hey,
Valentina.
Yes. Excellent. All right.
Okay. So today, it's gloomy in Florence, apparently.
My telephone.
Yeah, just like in Milan the previous days. Okay. So in this focus, we'll talk about humor in English, different types of humor, and telling jokes and different styles of comedy. Maybe you prefer some styles, maybe you're not so interested in others. Just a spelling note before we get on to the fun part of things. So humor here is the American spelling. The British spelling or Irish spelling includes a U, so O-U-R at the end. Yeah.
And this is kind of similar for a lot of words as well, right? It's like humor. There's another word, color.
Yeah.
Favorite. Lots of words like that. In America, they'll just spell it with an O-R, whereas we would spell it O-U-R. Both are correct, though. You don't need to worry. Both are correct.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, it's snowing in the countryside as Morgana, where Morgana is. Wow. That's crazy.
So
yeah, I can't get my head around that. Because it was yesterday as well. We were talking about in Florence or in Bologna, it was snowing, right?
Yeah,
somebody told us that it was snowing in Bologna, and I could not believe that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Just looking out my window, it's like strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very warm here. It is quite cold,
Yeah, I
but not
suppose.
not snowing weather though.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Maybe in the mountains, perhaps. I guess if you're higher up, then it's probably more likely. But
Mhm.
certainly, I can't see it happening here anyway.
No, no.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, here are some questions to get us started, maybe.
Hmm.
So I think we will discuss them aloud, but please write to us in the comments. Tell
Hmm.
us about you and comedy and what you think for these questions.
Yeah.
So Carl, what do you think for number one? If we start the
So
discussion.
number one, yeah, I'll read it out. Do you consider yourself a funny person with a good sense of humor? Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay, interesting one. Oh, welcome, Alessandro from
Welcome.
Naples. Welcome to the webinar. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I mean, yeah, I would consider myself a funny person.
Mhm.
Maybe sometimes not intentionally funny, but by
Yeah.
the things, the stupid and silly things that I do, I might be funny.
Mhm.
Um, but I think I have a good sense of humor. Um,
Yeah.
like this phrase, a sense of humor,
Mhm.
it can mean a couple of things, right? It can mean
Mhm.
like one of maybe two things. You
Yeah.
can have a good sense of humor in the sense that you like are like able to take a joke if
Yeah.
someone tells a joke or makes fun of you,
Mhm.
and you're able to take that and it won't affect you. I would say that's
Mhm.
like someone with a good sense of humor.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's more about reaction to other people's humor, sense of humor.
Yeah,
And that can be maybe in general, or as you say,
yeah,
if someone jokes about you specifically.
yeah. But I think that's a it's a good question. It's a good question. What about you,
Mm.
Emily?
Yeah, I think like you, sometimes not intentionally funny. I am very sarcastic and
Mm,
very Um, this is a word you may not know. I'm very deadpan, which means that when I tell
deadpan.
I tell a joke, it's not really with any emotion attached to it. So often people are not sure if I am joking or serious. So I
But
think it
it's
takes a
one of my
while for
favorites.
people to work out my sense of humor.
It's one of my favorite types of styles of humor,
Mhm.
deadpan. Just like because if people are good at it, then like and like you are, you know, you're very good at it. So it's just kind of one of those things that I just enjoy watching other people's reactions as
Mhm.
opposed to just like my own reaction.
Yes, yes, I would agree with that. So Monica says for number one, so it depends. It depends on my mood. Yeah, yeah, maybe
Hmm.
especially with what we said about reactions to other people's jokes. If someone jokes about you,
Yeah,
maybe you have to be in a good mood for that.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think so for sure, for sure. And she's even got third question two as well.
amazing.
So she's gone to think my friend Laura. She's the funniest lady that I know. Nice. Why? What makes Laura the funniest lady that you know, Monica? What? Why is she the funniest person?
Mm,
Um, because usually like you can be funny in kind of different ways. You can be funny in like the sense that you're good at telling jokes. You can be funny in the sense like maybe me where you're just silly
hmm.
and a bit weird. So
Yeah.
I would say the funniest person that I know is probably my friend Brian. He's a really funny guy, and again, he kind of mixes sarcasm and a bit of deadpan humor as well,
Mhm.
um, in to his kind of humor style. But certainly,
Mhm.
he's one of the funniest people I know.
Yeah, yeah. I think probably my friend again, Rachel, who is very, very deadpan, very deadpan,
Mm,
um, and
excellent.
just uses all her frustrations with her life to make jokes, which
Yeah, and it's often the people who like combine, yeah, their problems that they have. Um, like this is one thing I think that Brian has a girlfriend now, but before when he
Mhm.
did not have a girlfriend, he would often make jokes about like if you like what are your plans for the weekend, Brian? He's like, oh, I've got a big weekend ahead. I'm gonna sit in my room. I'm gonna play PlayStation. I'm gonna cry about
Mhm.
being alone, and then I'm gonna eat some food. I'm just like, oh my god, oh my
Love
god.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, more
uh,
details from Monica. Thank you. So Laura is able to make me smile when I am down in the dumps. So
nice.
I see why you made it personal, but it's just an expression. So down in the dumps, which is a really great expression. Well done.
Mhm. Yeah, because if you say my dumps, then you're talking about like your area of
Mhm.
rubbish and garbage. So we don't say that.
Yeah.
Down in the dumps is a general term.
Hmm.
All right.
Okay, so this next one is probably more for the comments, so we might give you a moment to think about this one. So what styles of humor do you know of? So what are you aware of? So
Yeah.
we talked about deadpan humor, for example.
Yeah. We
There are lots of
mentioned
others.
sarcasm as well.
Mhm,
So can you guys give us any other styles of humor?
mhm. Do you have a favorite style of humor, Carl?
Um, it kind of I like Monica. It depends on the mood that I'm
Mm,
in terms of what I want to watch. Because sometimes I like to watch deadpan humor, like you said, there is one of
mhm.
your favorites. But then other times I like to watch kind of sillier types of humor,
Yeah.
where like I'll give you an example, like The Office, the U.S.
Mhm.
Office. I love to watch the U.S. Office, and that's kind of a
Yeah.
combination of a lot of different things.
Mhm.
Um, or even the Office, the UK is excellent as well.
Mm.
Um, they're like some of my favorite comedy series. Um, but then like just straight up like watching Friends as well, like that's a different kind of comedy, but it's still I
Mm.
find enjoyable. Um,
Yeah.
so it's a weird one. It's a strange one. It depends on what I want to watch, you know?
Mhm. Yeah,
What
no,
about you?
I agree. Yeah, sometimes you want something that immediately feels familiar. I think
Yeah,
Friends would fit into that category where you are
absolutely.
immediately very comfortable. It doesn't matter what episode you start at, if you walk in the middle of an episode, and
Mm,
sometimes you want something maybe sharper, more political. Um, or sometimes you want physical comedy. You want to see
yeah.
people making physical mistakes. Is that in general is not a particular favorite of mine, but there are some moods. Maybe as Morgana says here, when you're in a blue mood, if you're feeling sad,
Yes.
there's nothing better than just seeing someone fall over or something like
Yeah.
that.
I often find that's funny because I often find that I would do that myself because
Mhm.
a character fall over and I'm like, oh yeah, I would do
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
All right. Oh, Monica's here. Got one. Yeah. Situational comments
Mm.
are my favorite. So nice. Nice use of the long term for it. But
Mhm.
Monica, we do have a different name for this, and it's just shortened down. Maybe it's a
Mhm.
bit easier to say. We say not a situational comedy. Sorry. We say it's
Mhm.
a sitcom. So a
Yeah.
situational comedy.
Yeah, and you might also hear a similar term. You might hear rom-com for a romantic comedy. So this is
Yeah.
quite common to shorten the words. Yeah, and I think we talked about Friends, The Office. Both of those go under that category, sitcoms. Valentina has answered number 2. Thank you. So Domenico is the funniest guy I know because he also involuntarily makes me laugh with stupid phrases. Yeah, okay. So involuntary is the adjective, and I know it sounds complicated, but involuntarily with the "ly" at the end, just like this,
Yeah.
is what you want. That's great. I think
Nice.
some of the best jokes are involuntary, they're not deliberate.
Yeah. They're not intended to be in any kind of style. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody else know any other styles of humor? Any other particular ones that you know or you like? Maybe.
Mm.
Because yeah, I often find like because they're at the moment with Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney Plus, there's like a saturation of comedies and TV
Yes.
shows that you can watch, and so you can like jump between different shows like
Mhm.
very quickly if you want to. For example, like you recommended to me
Mhm.
to watch BoJack Horseman, and BoJack
Yeah.
Horseman is different to any comedy I've ever watched in my
Isn't
entire life,
it?
but it's
Do you like it?
fantastic. I love
Good.
it. I love it.
Good.
It is just one of those ones that I'm like, you're absolutely appalled at what's going
Yeah.
on, but you're like, oh my god, this is hysterical. It's just great.
Yes. I think it's probably my favorite comedy of all time, probably my favorite
Oh,
show.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I think actually it ties into what Clara says here. Thank you. And she mentions black humor. Yeah, which you can also hear dark humor, which is the same thing. Or
It would
dark
probably be
comedy.
more common to say dark.
Yeah, black comedy, black humor.
Hmm.
Often we use, in terms of genres or styles, we use humor and comedy interchangeably. And that's this really dark jokes,
Hmm.
really jokes based in real situations that
Yeah,
don't have much humor in them, but you use those situations to make jokes.
exactly.
I think is really important in a way to process things that happen.
Very good, very good. Also, we've got some comments, some previous
Mm.
comments as well. One from Morgana. She's saying, "I used to be a funny girl, but I've passed through several crappy situations, and now I'm a party pooper. Oh no! Maybe
Oh,
you can regain your comedy and your comedic
mhm.
element once again, Morgana. All right?
Yeah.
I have faith. I have faith.
Yeah. And you can be a party pooper and be comic and be funny,
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
Maybe in a different way to what you were before.
Yeah.
I find comedy, your sense of humor changes as you change, as you grow up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, like I used to love my only like the only type of comedy that I liked when I was a child was just physical comedy because I
Mhm.
guess when you're a child, somebody falling over is just
Mhm.
hilarious. But now obviously I like more kind of intellectual comedy, things that
Mhm.
um you they make you think and like when you think about it, it's very witty.
Mhm. Federica, we also have my cousin-in-law, very specific, is the
Hmm.
funniest person I know because he takes everything's joking and makes everyone happy. Okay,
Hmm.
so maybe he takes jokes well. Maybe he, um,
Or
yeah,
maybe he
takes
makes
everything.
a joke.
Yeah, maybe he makes jokes. Because to take a joke is how you receive the joke. To make it is you
Yeah,
create it.
exactly, exactly. And is not really um, a phrase that we use that often.
Mhm.
We only in law with mother, father, brother, sister, son,
Mhm.
daughter. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
with
that's right.
cousins, you could just say my, because for it to be your cousin-in-law, you need to be married. And now
Mhm.
I don't remember now. I'm sorry if I've forgotten, Federica, but I don't think you're married. So if you're not married, then it's not really cousin-in-law. You could just say my boyfriend's cousin, or
Mhm.
just you could just say my, yeah, whatever, my partner's cousin
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point.
instead. Yeah, because cousin-in-law is kind of a strange one for us to hear.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, now we've come down to the final question, the question that we've all
Mm.
been waiting for, and oh, this is the moment of truth. Do you
Yeah.
know any jokes? So
Mm.
maybe we'll open this up to the floor first, and it might
Yes.
be difficult. It might be difficult for you guys to write a joke in a comment because I know sometimes it requires you to pause for effect or to kind of speak in a certain way. But
Mhm.
do try to write down some jokes if you know them.
Mhm. Oh, hi to Alice as well. Welcome. You
Hey,
are here in perfect time to tell us any jokes that you know.
exactly. Come on in. Do you want to try and take a joke there, or to make a joke? Sorry,
Mm.
Emily.
I can try. Of course, this is the moment where my mind goes completely blank, and I
Mm.
think I have never told a joke in my life. What is a joke? Um, but I will do my best. Um,
Mhm, mhm.
so um, maybe I can tell a classic English joke, which is we
Okay.
often have these styles of joke, which are we call doctor jokes or waiter
Yes.
jokes, which is making
Yes.
a joke about a situation with a doctor or with another professional. So a
Okay.
waiter joke, for example. Waiter. Oh, and I should explain. You have two characters. You have the waiter and you have the customer speaking. So you have, for example, waiter, there's a fly in my soup. And the waiter responds, don't shout about it, everyone will want one.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, I like
So
that's
that's like
probably
a
my
doctor,
favorite in
doctor.
that genre, in that style.
Hmm. I have a doctor one
Hmm.
that my parents used to always tell me, and it
Yeah.
was doctor, I feel like a pair of curtains. And then the doctor responds and says, "Oh, pull yourself together."
I like that. Yeah, I've heard that one too.
Yeah.
And if anyone is unsure, so to pull yourself together is a phrase that we use to kind of it means to be strong. Don't um, don't collapse under the pressure. Yeah, I would say that's the closest synonym. Stay strong.
Hmm. And so in this case, we're using it as like in a literal way.
Yes.
So we're just saying like to literally pull yourself together because you're a pair of
Mhm.
curtains.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love those doctor ones. I used to
Mhm.
have a book at home of the like 1,000 of the stupidest jokes in the world, and
Yes.
that was like one of my favorite things ever.
Mhm.
There's also like what was I gonna? What was the other one? I was thinking of another one. Oh
Mhm.
yes. What do you call four Spanish bullfighters in quicksand?
I don't know. What do you call it? Or
We
them?
call them
It's called.
Cuatro Cinco. Oh, they're terrible. It's so
Very
bad.
good. That's
I only know the worst jokes in the world. I'm
mm,
sorry.
I mean, that kind of thing is what I would call like cracker jokes or Christmas cracker
Mhm.
jokes, because they're the ones
Yes.
that you find in the Christmas crackers.
hmm Exactly. Yeah. So I think everybody, I'm not sure if everyone's familiar with what a Christmas cracker
Mm,
is. Not a Christmas cracker is a kind of decoration or game that is played around Christmas. So there are two ends to the Christmas cracker, and you grab one
mhm,
end, and another person grabs the other end, and then you pull, and the middle part of the
mhm,
cracker breaks open. Inside the cracker,
yeah,
there's like a joke, a little kind of game, usually a paper hat as well.
mhm,
But yeah, they're quite funny, but bad jokes.
yeah,
The
and
fact that
very
they're
frequent.
bad is the reason why.
They are bad jokes, yeah.
Mm.
Okay, Monica says a friend of mine is studying magician's jokes. Okay, so magic. We'd probably say magic tricks there, because magicians are usually, maybe your friend is different, but usually it's more about performance than humor. It's not so much about humor. Magicians, maybe tricks, magic tricks.
Yeah, because there's a slight difference between a trick and a joke.
Hmm.
Because a joke is something like obviously you can do a practical joke, which is something physical,
Hmm.
like a physical joke, like where you put a bucket of water above someone on the
Yes.
door, and then they open the door and the water falls on top of them. That is a practical joke. But
Hmm.
a magic trick, involves sleight of hand or
Hmm.
involves some sort of quick movements and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different to a joke. A joke is
Hmm.
also oral as well. It's a verbal kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Or
Yeah.
visual sometimes. Some of my, we mentioned BoJack Horseman or other sitcoms. Some of my favorite jokes there are visual ones.
Yeah.
You will
Absolutely.
see a sign in the background or something like that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sylvia Busnelli has entered the fray.
Ah,
Welcome,
welcome.
Sylvia.
Lots of
Nice to
people
see
from
you.
Meravili today. Lovely to see.
Go on, Maravili. Lovely day, a lovely day out, and everyone in Milan is at home.
Yeah, or on their
Yeah,
balconies, which
or on
is
the balconies, exactly.
the closest thing to not at home.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly. I'll try
so
to come up with some more jokes as we go on, but I can't think of any
yeah,
of them more
I
at the
will
moment.
leave that to you. I'll leave that to you.
Okay.
A classic physical joke. Just before we move on, you can see in the left hand picture at the
Mm.
bottom. This is a very very classic joke in silent comedy in particular. We'll just call it the pie in the face. When for some reason there is normally a custard pie, is just ends up in someone's face.
Yeah,
Um, and you'll see that in a lot of classic comedy.
exactly.
Okay, so here is an example joke.
Yes, love this
Yes.
joke.
Okay, do you want to perform it then? If you love
Oh my God, yeah, yes. Oh, I
it.
can't wait.
This is Carl's
So wait a minute.
favorite day.
Oh God, here we go. Right, so we have the baker and the farmer, guys. Okay, a baker in a little country town bought butter from a nearby farmer. One day, he suspected that the bricks of butter were not full pounds, and for several days he weighed them. He was right. They were short weight, and he had the farmer arrested. At the trial, the judge said to the farmer, "I presume you have scales?" "No, your honor." "Then how do you manage to weigh the butter you sell?" inquired the judge. The farmer replied, "That's easily explained, your honor. I have balances, and for a weight I use a 1 pound loaf I buy from the baker." But All right. So, does everyone understand this joke? Actually, yeah. This is actually wait. Maybe I should come with a phrase here. Do you get it?
Mm,
Is a phrase that often when a joke maybe has not been quite so successful, you want to check, do people understand the joke? And so
yeah.
they'll ask the question, do you get it? Like, do
Hmm.
you understand, basically? So do you get it? Do you understand?
Hmm.
And
Yeah. Or
so
you
yeah,
just get it without the do you, because this is
yeah,
often quite informal.
yeah. Get it? Get it? And it's usually the person with like their facial expression is like, oh, do you get the
Like,
joke?
it's
Please?
like, do I laugh? Do I just not laugh? I think, you
Is
know,
it
as a child who often didn't understand jokes, that was my face
mhm.
all the time.
Just
It was, it
it's kind of
was,
what?
it was. Am I going to be that person who never understands the joke, or do I just pretend? So
Yeah, just pretend.
fun medium.
Yeah. So, guys, I hope you all understand what this joke means and what it is. It's basically the farmer and the baker are, like we say, and they kind of trade with each other butter for bread. So, the
Mhm.
baker gives the bread, the farmer gives the butter. Um, and so each of them trade, but one day the baker realizes that the butter was not complete. There was not enough butter, and so
Mhm.
at the trial with in the court, the farmer explains that, oh well, I balance up the butter with my loaf of bread, so it's the same. So if it's 1 kilogram of butter, it's 1 kilogram of loaf of bread. So clearly, both of them were trying to trick the other one. They were both
Mhm.
trying to get something out of it, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, what kind of joke is this?
it's kind of interesting. What kind of joke? Can anyone tell us what kind of joke?
Hmm. Personally, I don't tell this kind of joke as often unless it's personal, unless it's maybe
Mm,
based on experience,
yeah,
and that is maybe funnier to me than this kind of script.
yeah. Because it's usually personal things, and the things that happen to
Mm,
you are usually funnier
yeah.
than things that have happened to someone else.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we'll see another example in a moment of that. So this, just so we can move on. This I would call an anecdote. An anecdote, like a personal story that you tell, normally for humor. And the adjective, if anyone wants that, is anecdotal with an AL at the end.
Hmm. All right.
So this is maybe more interactive. So we do want to hear from you for this activity. So we have different types of humor and what is the definition. So
Yep.
there are a few that we already talked about, but most of them we haven't talked about. Okay, Morgana, the last one was an example of English humor. Yeah, maybe.
Perhaps, yeah.
Um, for me, that also is not particularly funny to me, the previous joke. Um, but it is a good example of a classic joke.
Yeah. All right. So we need to match the type of humor to its definition.
Hmm.
So maybe we'll just read down through
Yeah.
the different types of humor just to make sure that the pronunciation is right for these
Mhm.
guys. So, like we said before, this is the top one is the one that Emily just mentioned, and this is anecdote. Okay, so anecdote. The next one we say slapstick. Following on from that, satire. The middle one, spoof,
Mhm.
sketch, stand up, improv, and gag or prank.
Mhm.
Okay, so what
Okay.
do you think?
And maybe again to give you a moment to think about this, I'll read through the definitions because there may be a few words that you don't recognize in the definitions also. So we have mocking imitation. So mocking can be quite negative. It can be imitating someone in a slightly cruel way, slightly negative way. A short amusing story, short comedy scene. So most of you will be aware of this, but remember when you have SC followed by an E, it's always silent C. So scene,
Mm.
exaggerated physical activity, using irony, ridicule, and derision. Again, these can be negative things. A one-man show of speaking to a live audience. Uh, this is an interesting word with pronunciation. So a mischievous or mischievous, both pronunciations are fine. No one agrees on the pronunciation there. A mischievous trick or
No.
joke played on someone, and short scenes constructed in the moment from an idea or structure usually given by the audience. So if there are any other words you are not sure about, let us know there.
All right. So Valentina has gone straight for one that she knows. So she's gone 6-3, which I'm assuming is the sixth one down.
Mm-hmm.
One,
Stand
two,
up, I
three,
think
four,
that's
five,
it.
six. Stand up, and the third one, a short comedy scene. So this one, maybe not. We wouldn't say that stand up is a short comedy scene. Probably say it's a different one.
Yeah. Okay, Monica's internet connection is not working. Okay. I
Oh
know
no.
YouTube can have some problems as well.
Yeah.
So
But don't
we will
worry, just try
give,
to refresh. We should be okay.
we will give the answer to anecdote since we discussed this one already a bit.
Yeah.
So an anecdote is a short, amusing story. And as I said before, often that is about your own life or about someone that you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good, Morgana. Nice, nice work there. Yes, stand up is a one-man show.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's
we can
great.
often call a person like a comedian who does this. We can call them a stand-up comedian. So a person who does one-man shows all the time.
Yeah, and
Right.
this can interact with other forms of comedy. So a stand-up comedian may tell anecdotes or
Yeah.
may do short comedy scenes, but it is its own form as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So
So
then we
I
have
might
slapstick.
yeah, I might give you a hint for this one. So I mentioned the pie in the face. That would be a good example of slapstick. You often see this in classic comedy. If anyone knows the Marx Brothers, they are often slapstick comedians.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of classic comedy, Cathal? Are you a fan of it?
Love it.
Mhm.
Love it, love it. I loved watching. Tell you one thing. I loved watching the old Pink Panther movies as well.
Oh, yes, I love those.
They're very
Yeah,
good. Very, very
these
good.
are really good. Oh, yeah.
Even the new ones, the ones with Steve Martin in them, I found
Mhm.
them okay, but I
Yeah.
still prefer the old ones.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I also really like Charlie Chaplin and Buster
Yes,
Keaton, any of those really, really old comedians. They
exactly.
they have some of it hasn't aged well, but most of it
No,
is still
it
really
ha-
good.
Okay, maybe we'll match up
Yeah.
slapstick, guys. So, slapstick is an exaggerated physical activity. So, like Emily said there, with the um, pie to the face. So, it's a physical activity,
Hmm.
slapstick, and it's usually exaggerated for comedic effect.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Morgana just got it as well. Thank you.
nice, nice. Very good, very
Okay.
good.
So satire, if again I give you some ideas for this. So satire is more based in reality.
Mm,
So often it is based around a situation, politics quite often, and it's a way of responding to a situation, to a workplace, in a humorous way.
yeah. So satire. We'd say the adjective for it would be satirical.
Hmm.
So a satirical joke.
Hmm.
But all these words here: anecdote, anecdotal,
Yeah.
satire, satirical. I think those are the only two that we can use in adjective form.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. Some of them we can use as adjectives as well, like slapstick and spoof. You can use as
Yeah.
adjectives.
Yeah.
Okay, in mocking imitation, we've seen it. It's kind
Oh,
of less
for
about
yeah.
imitation. Yeah, so it's more using irony, ridicule. You make something look ridiculous. So if anyone knows, maybe in terms of e- examples, you could look at maybe anything by Armando Iannucci. So Veep or The Death of Stalin. The Thick of It is a common British example. Many, many classic examples for satire.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Would you say like Monty Python uses satire sometimes
Yeah,
as well? For sure.
yeah, absolutely.
I love me a bit of Life of Brian or
Hmm.
um what was the other one that I
Yeah,
loved watching? I loved watching the King Arthur and the Holy Grail.
uh, that's my favorite.
Great
I
movies.
think I
Great
am
movies.
due a marathon of the Monty Python films. I think
Hmm.
that may be a
Hmm.
good use of time.
Yeah, because it's kind of I remember there's one scene that my dad always quotes. He'll always do that. Um, if anyone's ever giving out about like people not doing anything, they're like,
Hmm.
"Well, what have the Romans ever done for us? And, "Well, what have the Romans ever done for us?" It's like, the roads. It's like, oh yeah. Well, apart from the roads, uh, was it the like
Yeah, the
irrigation?
aqueduct.
Oh, the aqueducts. Yeah. Right. Well, apart from the aqueducts, the irrigation, the roads, the general public health, what have the Romans done for us? It's like nothing.
Yeah, love it.
So they go down through a
So good.
list of like 10 different things that they've improved.
Yes.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone knows the Horrible Histories TV series, some of that can fit into satire as well.
Yes, it's excellent. Very
Okay.
good.
What about spoof? So spoof is not one that you hear as often,
Mm.
but it is quite still.
Yes, spoof. So spoof, I believe spoof would be the mocking imitation one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another
So
word for this would be parody.
spoof or parody. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you do like an imitation of something.
Hmm.
I often see if you ever watch Saturday Night Live, it's
Hmm.
a TV show, a comedy show based in America, in New York, and they often do spoofs and parodies of famous people.
Hmm.
Obviously, with Donald Trump being the president, a lot of their material now is a parody of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So Trump doing like a speech or giving a speech on a particular hot topic, I guess
Hmm.
they'll make a joke out of it, an imitation of him.
Yeah. So sketch, the next one. This is similar to the sitcom that we mentioned earlier. The difference is that a sketch is just one scene; it's very short, and a sitcom is normally, half an hour, 20 minutes, in maybe a situation, as the name suggests. It's a world of its own. A sketch, again, Saturday Night Live is probably a good example of this. You have kind of isolated scenes where something happens, and that can be a spoof, or it can be satire, it can be any different form of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And another example, maybe something like, let me think. I think Peep Show, maybe, or some things like that, maybe fit into that category.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, stand up we talked about as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the last two they might have heard of before. Improv,
Mm.
again, guys, is a shortened down phrase. So like we said, with
Hmm.
situational comedy can be shortened down to sitcom. Improv is the shortened down version of improvisation or improvisation,
Hmm.
um, depending on what way you want to pronounce it.
Hmm.
And so improvisation is something constructed, something done in the moment. So you can use improvise as a verb. To
Hmm.
improvise is to kind of think instantaneously and to come up with an idea in the moment. So there's often entire TV shows dedicated to this. Uh, there's one in England I know it's just called Mock the Week or
Hmm.
Would I Lie to You,
Yeah.
which you can use and they think of jokes in the moment, or
Hmm.
maybe what's it called? Whose line is it anyway in
Mm.
America is a very famous one, and
Yeah.
you could say they're very you could describe people who are able to think of jokes and like very quickly. We can say they are quick witted.
Hmm.
So someone who's
Yeah.
quick witted is a person who can think of something funny to say about a situation
Hmm.
in a very short space of time.
Yeah. And it can be spoken, it can be acting in general as well, it can be more physical. I think
Yeah,
on TV maybe that's less often, but if anyone ever
exactly.
takes a drama class or something like that, I'm sure there will be improvisation involved. Um,
Yeah.
I've heard that apparently the first rule of improvisation is to say yes and. You never say
Yes.
no to anything. You just go along with the situation. Um,
Exactly. Exactly. One of my favorite TV shows that I've watched is called Parks and Recreation,
mhm.
and
Yeah,
on that
love
show
it.
they have lots of like improvisation from their
Mhm.
actors, the comedians.
Yeah.
And my favorite one was there's a scene, a part of the show where one of the characters, Leslie, she
Mhm.
was sick and she was very, very ill. And so one of her colleagues, Andy, was trying to help. And so he said, Leslie, I put your symptoms into the computer and it says you have network
Oh,
connectivity problems. And
I was thinking of
that
that
was like
example as well. I was trying to think
completely
of it.
improvised.
Yeah,
It was great.
it's the
Like
best
network
line.
connectivity problems. Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant.
That reminds me
You
of
like,
the joke that I am most proud to have made. That
yeah.
where I think it was you actually. You mentioned Leslie Knope, and I said Leslie
Mm.
Yep, and I was
Yeah.
very proud. Very
It's
proud of that.
great. I love that one because you can say nope as like
Mhm.
to say no, and then
Yeah.
yep to say yes. So yeah,
Mhm.
excellent. Oh,
No, amazing.
very nice, Monica. Now you've done what? So when I was younger, remember younger, Young
Mhm.
er. I so when I was younger, we wouldn't say I have done. We just say I did
Mhm.
improv and sketch. It was a stage of the actor's school. Hmm.
Wow.
So maybe we say a stage acting school or
Mhm.
a
Or
stage
drama
school,
school.
drama school. Yeah,
Mhm.
but very good, very good.
Okay, amazing. Wow, the
All
time
right.
has gone very quickly. We are
Yeah,
out of time.
we're out of time, unfortunately. Yeah, I just
Improving
realized.
too much, improvising too
Yeah.
much.
All right. So, guys, I think we will leave it there for today.
Mhm.
I guess keep on going with these webinars. It's great to see so many people coming back and watching them regularly. It's going to be great for your English going forward. And thank you all so much for your participation. It's really great
Yeah, thank
when we
you.
get to interact with you guys. So
Yeah.
we'll leave it there for today, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye, guys.